Hi everyone, and welcome to Great Books, Big Ideas. I'm Jim. Thanks for joining me. I want to revisit the great books of the Western world in today's episode. We talk about that set a lot on this channel, and you may be familiar with some of the history, you may not be. If not, check out some of my old videos. I'll link to some of them down below. But I wanted to just do a quick recap and talk about the different editions. So we have the 1952 original edition, first edition of the Great Books of the Western World, which came out in various bindings. This was one of the later ones. You can see here we've got Aristotle in this leatherette bindings and printed in the double column format. In small point sizes. So that was a 1952 edition, which again came out in different bindings. Some of them are cloth bound, some of them are leatherette, some might even be leather. They come in different colors. Some of them are sort of dark. Others are this more kind of naugahyde look. And then the cloth bound come in different color cloth. And then in 1990, there was this, the second edition of the Great Books of the Western World. These, most of these I've come across are coming in this black leather or leatherette format, and also I've seen them in the wild in a kind of like a red, a sort of a red leather or leatherette. Same edition though, 1990, with somewhat changed contents, some different translations, some additions, some cuts. But, you know, about 80% of the texts are similar to the 1952 edition. And you might think that that's all there is. Okay, you've got the 52 and you've got the 1990. Well, have I got news for you? In between those dates, there was a 25th anniversary edition of the Great Books of the Western World. And it was published by Franklin Library, a fine books producer, no longer in business. They were affiliated with the Franklin Mint, which actually is just down the road from me, about 20-25 minutes away, the old Franklin Mint. They had lots of offshoots. They did coins, they did like memorabilia, collectibles. You probably, those of you in America probably saw their television commercials and magazine advertisements over the years. And then they had a subsidiary that did book publishing, and they did leather copies and things. They no longer exist, but in the used book market, you can find tons of Franklin Library titles, and they did a lot of classic literature. And they're very attractive if you're into leather-bound volumes. And they also did like a cheaper series of leatherette volumes. Anyway, long story short, for the 25th anniversary of the Great Books of the Western World, Franklin Library republished that original edition, but they did it in leather-bound volumes that look like this. Yeah. So we got to talk about this. These are leather, right? And they have gilt edges and sewn in bookmarks. Well, they have these kinds of end papers too, this sort of, I don't know what you call that pattern. Sort of a silky moire pattern. I don't know. Here's your bookmark sewn in. So this is generally what a Franklin Library book would look like. And in addition, many of these volumes, if not most of them, were illustrated. They have illustrations, they have designs, Let me see if there's any in this volume. I'm looking at a volume of Plutarch here. So, these are pretty cool books. And you can see, you know, if you have a 25th anniversary Great Books of the Western World, if on the spine it says the Great Books. It'll be up here, or it'll be in the middle, or down here somewhere. Right? Sometimes it can be tricky identifying them because Franklin Library published a lot of classic literature, and they might very well have, for instance, like a volume of Plutarch's essays that's not part of the Great Books of the Western World set. But you know, if it says the Great Books, you can identify it that way. The other way to identify this is on the copyright page. It'll say, it'll have the medallion of the Great Books of the Western World. It'll identify it as being originally published by Encyclopedia Britannica. So always check that if you're collecting for these books to make sure you're getting those. Now, these volumes are expensive. I don't know what they cost back in the day, but I'm sure they were pricey. And those of you who know more about it can let me know in the comments, share your knowledge. But these would have been sold through television advertisements, probably like late night infomercials. I think I saw a few back in the day, and I think on YouTube you can even see some of these ads. If I can find some samples, I'll share them in the show description. I'll link to them. You would also see them advertised in magazines. Right, and I think it was a subscription plan, and they would send these out to you one at a time or something like that. I could be wrong. But anyway, what's nice about these, aside from the fact that they're attractively bound in these leather volumes with the gold and the gilt and the sewn-in bookmark, is the fact that not only are they illustrated, but look at the typography. Here's, for comparison, here's a volume of Aristotle from the original 1952 edition. Again, this binding was probably more early 60s. That small point size that's so difficult to read and is a deal breaker for many. I'm okay with it, but a lot of people don't like it, and they've been criticized for it. Well, that's no longer a problem with these Franklin Volume 25th Anniversary editions. Here's Plutarch. Here's what Plutarch looks like. In the original edition, he's in double column, very small point size, probably 8 or 9 point type. And now you have a very readable copy. And the contents are the same as the 1952 edition. It's just the typography, the layout is different. So these volumes are a lot easier to read. The paper quality is thicker. They're just very nice. They're very nice. The problem with these, and I'm sure you know what the problem is, price. The price of these is quite expensive. So if you wanted to get a complete set of these, now these are out of print, right? Because Franklin Library is no more. I don't know when they went out of business, but the only leather-bound kind of classic book publisher that's really left is Easton Press. I'm talking about the United States, but you know, so you're going to have to get these used. If you wanted a complete set of these Great Books of the Western World, number one, they're going to take up a ton of shelf space because, you know, like the one advantage of these volumes is with those thin pages and that kind of small print, you can cram a lot of books into a relatively small shelf space, but you're going to need a bookcase for these, a whole bookcase for these. But I think if you were to buy these on the open market, and sometimes you do see full sets for sale, gonna cost you thousands of dollars. It could cost you $9,000-10,000 for a complete set. Again, do your own research, check eBay, check ABE books and other sources of used books. It's a pretty penny for sure. And that's the biggest drawback to these. In all other respects, I think these are great. They just, you know, I love having illustrations. I love how they use like a second color on here. They would also come with notes from the editors. So not every used copy you get is going to have these. And some sellers on eBay and elsewhere will sell just these individually if you're looking to collect them. But these give you sort of notes on the book and so forth. They remind me a little bit of the sandglass inserts from the Heritage Press titles. So if you're collecting, always see if they have one of these inserted in the book. Yeah, they're really beautiful volumes, but they're very expensive. So these are the only ones I have collected. Where's my other one? Yeah, so let me go through these one by one. This was probably the first one I got. It was the Plutarch Volume 1. So also what they do is to keep the book size sort of manageable, they would split these authors into multiple volumes in many cases. So I think Plutarch is in 3 or 4 volumes. I have volumes 1 and volume 2. These are the only 4 I have. And then I got Shakespeare volume 1, which includes the plays. You can see there's a nice kind of medallion there. This is actually was the complete plays and sonnets of Shakespeare, comprise 7 volumes. I have volume 1, so I only have 6 more to go. And it contains the plays, the first part of King Henry VI, the second part of King Henry VI, the third part of King Henry VI, the tragedy of King Richard III, and the comedy of errors, all in here. And there are some illustrations with this volume too. So, you know, Shakespeare is going to take up 7 volumes. These books, if you shop around for them and you look at eBay auctions and so forth, a lot of the prices really vary quite a bit. But generally what I've found to be the case is most of these volumes are going to run you from $30 to $100, and maybe up from that for some of the rarer ones. So to acquire a complete set of these, you know, open up your bank account, open up your wallet and pocketbook. It's going to cost you a pretty penny. And that's, you know, I can't go there myself. I'm never going to have, unless someone wants to donate these to me, I'm never going to have a complete set of these because I'm just priced out of it. But if you're an auction hawk, like I am sometimes, I like to browse and I like to scout. Sometimes you can grab a Franklin Library 25th Anniversary Great Books of the Western World for maybe 1 volume, maybe for 20, maybe even a little bit less. But with some fair regularity, you can find some of these between $20 and $30. And that's what all these were. I'm sure I never paid more than $25 for any of these. But even so, if I paid $20 to $25, like, you know, that's $100 right there over several years of collecting them. So I have to be very choosy with my Great Books of the World Franklin Library editions. Much as I would love to have all of them, I can't. So of course, if you are made of money, this is all, beside the point. Just if you want to get a set of these, go out and buy one. People do auction them off. But if you are more of a price-conscious book collector, a bibliophile, and you're interested in these, try one of them out. Maybe buy one for 20, 25 bucks and see how you like them. And if you get the bug for them, you can scout on eBay and other places and see if you can grab one of these titles. My advice would be this. Here's my advice. Let me put it this way. Here's what I do, not what I would do. Here's what I am actively doing in terms of collecting these. I kind of want to just pick favorite authors from the Great Books of the Western World set, and when a volume becomes available at a price point I'm comfortable with, I'll spring for it. So all of these authors are authors I love. Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. Yeah, no brainer. Shakespeare, if more of these volumes become available at a price I like, I would be willing to buy it. Plutarch, yeah, it would be nice to get volumes 3, and I think there's 4 volumes. Yeah, there are 4 volumes here. Many of the novels that they publish are in 2 or 3 volumes. So, keep that in mind as well. And that's how I would approach it. It's just I basically look for authors that mean a lot to me, and I would like to have that shelf appeal, and I'd like to have a format that's a lot more readable than the double column small point type, and then I'll get that just for the collecting value of it, the shelf appeal, the illustrations, just the aesthetics. The aesthetics matter. And I'm okay if I don't get every last title in that original set. A lot of the math and science volumes, I don't need to pay, like $80 for, whatever, Sir Isaac Newton or what have you. But some of the literature and philosophy and history, from time to time, they're fun. They're fun to treat yourself with. They're great gift ideas. And I just wanted the audience to know that they're out there, that that's what they are, because I don't think a whole lot of people talk about them. We talk about the 1952. We talk about all the changes with the 1990 edition that are important. These, let me reiterate, are replications of the original edition, the 1952 edition. Right, and they even did the Syntopicon. So if you want that index to all the great books, they did that too. I imagine those cost a fortune, but for what it's worth, that's what these are all about. Franklin Library. Do any of you collect these? Do you have a complete set, a partial set? Do you have any tips for those of us who want to collect these? What are your thoughts on them? Are they the preferable way to read the great books of the Western world? Are they superfluous? Do they not matter? Do you not need it? There's lots of things we could talk about in the comments, and I hope you do weigh in on that. I always like to read your comments. If you like the video, please like it, and I hope you subscribe, ring the notification bell. It helps to build support for the channel. And that's about it for now. Happy book collecting. Great Books of the Western World, 25th Anniversary Edition, Franklin Library, leather-bound copies. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.